Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Patrice Meagher, welcome to the conversation today.
Thanks, John. How are you?
I am doing well. It's great to be with you. You're joining us from New York. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about how employers can best support working moms. A
Awesome.
really important topic. You know, in this day and age, especially post-COVID, I think this is something that more and more employers are wrestling with. They're thinking about, and we certainly saw during the COVID period, kind of a step backwards, in time, so to speak, in terms of the progress that had been made towards kind of gender equity in the
Correct.
workplace. And that was unfortunate. That was part of the issue with COVID, with women often taking a disproportionately higher load in terms of home care and child care, elder care, that kind of stuff. And so because of that, yeah, during the COVID period, there was a bit of a step back in terms of labor force participation rates, in terms of the ability for women to progress in the workforce and promotions and those sorts of things. And now more and more employers are having back to office mandates, and
Yeah.
those sorts of things. And so it begs the question, what are we doing to better support working moms that, are now being, maybe they don't have the flexibility of remote work or hybrid work, and now they're being, pulled back into the office. What can we do if that's the
Right.
environment? So
Yeah.
that these are the types of things we're going to be discussing and exploring as we go through our conversation today. As we get
Awesome. Yeah.
started,
Family benefits are more important than ever. It's just
oh
in
yeah,
a
absolutely,
it's just,
absolutely.
what we're looking at across the board. So
Absolutely. As we get started, I wanted to share Patrice's bio with everybody. Patrice Meagher is the founder and CEO of MilkMate, an all-in-one multi-user pumping system purpose-built for the workplace wellness room, an advisor on employee wellness solutions. After pumping in the workplace while juggling being a mother of 4 children and high-powered commercial real estate executive, she conceptualized the MilkMate to empower working mothers to never have to choose between their newborn and their career, and to enable employers to recruit and retain female talent. I think that's wonderful. I'm a father of 6. I'm a professor. My wife is also a professor. And having wrestled with that dynamic
totally.
ourselves, yeah, I can see how this is so important, how your product is really important, and how this topic generally is just so important. So before we launch on in, I just want to give you a chance maybe to tell a little bit more
Sure.
about your background, your story, and then we'll talk more about the topic generally.
Yeah, awesome. You mentioned that I worked in commercial real estate. I think that's sort of an important piece to all of this. And so I worked in commercial real estate industry for about 20 years in Manhattan. And I mostly helped represent landlords to lease out space. And so my point in explaining that to most people is that I have done millions of square feet worth of leasing on behalf of landlords. And that's important because I very much understand design of space, cost of construction, cost of rent, the way landlords think, the way tenants think, return to work initiatives, regulations around wellness, things like that. So that's my professional brain. And then, like you said, I have 4 children, and I pumped at work with all of them. And so I was pumping off and on for about 8 years. So I really became an
Mm,
expert. And when I first had my first child in 2009, when I came back to work, there was no laws in place at that time for providing private pumping space. So
hmm.
I was pumping in the bathroom, which is, many women have done that. It's very
Yep.
unhygienic. It's not great. I made it 2 days pumping at work. What happens if you don't pump? Your milk supply goes away. So was forced to stop breastfeeding, but at the time it didn't even dawn on me to kind of raise my hand and ask the question. Fast forward to my other 3 kids, laws had changed, but I still had to walk up 3 flights of stairs through a whole bullpen of men just to get to the room to realize that I forgot a part. If you are pumping at work and you forget a part, it doesn't actually work. And
Mm,
so it becomes a
yep.
whole domino effect of issues. You're not able to pump, you're late for a meeting, you're leaking milk, it's all of these issues. And in all of those years, I was also the loudest person in the room, helping my landlord clients, my tenant clients, my coworkers, with best practices around pumping. And I couldn't believe there wasn't a service or a solution that made it easier for women to do this within the workplace. And that's really where MilkMate was born. And you know, you're talking about working parents in general, like, our mission at MilkMate is to empower working moms and the employers that support them. My true mission, where it really began, was to improve efficiency. How do you make the life of the working parent work? You make it more efficient. You catch the earlier train, you bring your lunch to work, you take a walk, and you have coffee at the same time while you're networking. There's like so many things you can do in order to be more efficient. And there was nothing more inefficient than I did as a working mom than pumping in the
Mm,
workplace. So
mhm.
starting with that problem in order to increase efficiency for the working parent and make their lives work.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. And I mean, it's sad that it started where it started for you, right? It's great that it's progressed to the point it has. Now
Yeah.
there's legislation, now we have pumping rooms, and now we
Yes.
have more of a culture around it, like an
Totally.
awareness of it. Like that, it's great that we've progressed to that point. And that there's less of a perhaps a stigma around it and all those sorts of things. Like just the idea of pumping is, perhaps, a generation ago would have been seen as gross or,
Or no,
whatever
it's
people.
sort of it's a sensitive topic that people
Yeah.
don't want to talk about, right? Because you're going into a room, you're taking your clothes off, and you're setting up the pump, and then you're pumping, right? So there's like a sense of not wanting to speak about it, right? But we very much like to say that, like, by having a tangible benefit that you can actually see, like, because we're installed within the workplace, it makes it more comfortable for the women to feel comfortable talking about wanting to have a family, or they feel very valued by their employer, they feel seen. And so, but yes, it was a topic. And again, this was not my company. I mean, my company is a supporter now,
Yeah.
of MilkMate, but it was very industry agnostic. Like, we've recently installed on a college campus, which we're super excited about for professors and admin staff. And we just installed in our first independent school yesterday. Like, this is across the board for every type of industry, whether it's hotel or hospitality or college campuses or regular office space. It's across the board. This is a needed thing. And we just try to make it very easy to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. And yeah, so on the one hand, we need to be able to have the conversations, we need to be able to
Correct.
talk about it, have greater levels of awareness. But we also just need to have like the actual practical implementation, right?
Correct.
We need
Yes.
both aspects of it to be able to move the issue forward, to be able to actually help working moms, to be able to help them actually navigate the issue altogether. And
Yes.
it's a multi-prong approach. So I love that you're tackling both at the same time.
And
Yeah.
really, I mean, just to like on the MilkMate, like, pump and product and service. Originally, it was just, we developed our own hospital grade multi-user pump. So it's high performance, it's cleared by the FDA, it's safe for multi-users. We like to call it work grade. So it eliminates the woman bringing the pump to and from work with her. But we also provide all the parts that are associated with it. They come fully assembled, fully sterilized, ready for immediate use. And we have up to 8 sizes of kits. So we're extremely
Mm,
equitable in terms of what we can offer. That's where we started, really, as a pump and parts. But what's interesting from like a human capital perspective and an HR perspective is that over time we've met with thousands of HR folks, industry leaders, and real estate stakeholders, real estate designers, things like that. Overwhelmingly, what we were hearing from our customers and from potential customers was, yes, we know we need to do this. We want to do it better. Can you actually give us the full solution? And that's how we
mm,
evolved into coming in and looking at the real estate and saying, okay, this is how you can elevate the room. So we provide furniture if needed to elevate the room. We provide, and then we implement, we install, we educate, we onboard, we educate the people that are facilitating it, we educate the women that are potentially using it, and then we service it. So we provide a service offering where women can speak to us. We track the inventory. We provide impact reports. So the idea here is that these employers, like, they really wanted to do better, which is kind of exciting, right? Um, but it's a way to provide an actual tangible benefit that sends a message. It's a recruiting and retention and advancement tool, a regulation tool, things like that as well.
yeah, yeah. So I think you've done a good job of describing how MilkMate works, how it can better help supporting moms, all of those types of things. Let's zoom out a little bit and now
Sure,
talk a little bit more generally about just the overarching issue of supporting working moms and why
totally.
it's so important and how employers can support. working parents, I guess working parents generally, working moms more specifically. So pumping rooms and those sorts of things, that's a really, really important thing, especially for new moms, right?
Yes,
But having, having parent-friendly policies in place, maternity policies, paternity policies, having those types of
100%.
things in place, those are huge. I think, I have 6 kids. And not to make it about me here, but I'm going to just tell a personal example for a moment, just because we're
Yeah,
having a conversation. My university has always had maternity policies, but they never had a paternity policy until about 3 years ago.
totally.
And so
Most
luckily I'm a
places
professor,
don't.
and
Yeah,
and professors have pretty flexible, a lot of autonomy and lots of flexibility, right? And so because of that, even though we didn't have any sort of paternity policy, I still was able to figure it out to be able to have to be able to be there for
to be
my
hands-on.
to be hands-on, to be there
Yeah,
to support my wife and essentially act as if I had a paternity policy, right? And it worked out, and it worked out pretty well. But that was a pretty lucky kind of privileged position for me to be in, just by nature of the type of job I have.
yeah.
Um, and frankly, a lot of dads probably don't have that,
Most
and
people, most
and
people, most moms, a lot of moms don't have
a
that.
lot of moms don't have that, right? So a lot
Yeah,
of parents aren't in that position, and they have to make these sacrifices around, the work that they have, and sacrifice their job, their career, in order to have the child and
I
to
know.
be a parent. And
So hard.
so what have you seen, both from your personal experience as
Yeah.
well as from the work that you do, and how organizations can start to be more empowering to in putting in place these policies? But it's not just the policy itself that becomes empowering. It's like the general culture that it engenders. It's the message that it sends, also, right?
100%. I mean, HR folks are really tasked with too much, right? Especially in post-COVID world. I always say that, like, or what I'm hearing from HR leaders is that they're tasked with a lot, everything you just talked about, but they're not necessarily given the bandwidth and the resources and the financial resources to implement a lot of this, right? And so we always say, like, let us be the expert for you. And so that
Yeah,
you can really send this message to your employees that you're valued. But just to take it back to what you were saying in the beginning, like I always say, the odds were in my favor. Okay. I have a very strong partner in my husband. I had a great job that I loved. I financially, I was making, a very good income. I have 4 healthy children. I had
yeah,
good childcare. I have very strong support system in both my in-laws and my own direct family. I have a strong network of working women friends that are like a village to me. And so the odds were completely in my favor, right? And I was drowning,
mm,
drowning. Okay, the odds were completely in my favor. And so, what about the people where the odds are not in their favor? What about single working parents? What about parents with a sick child? What about parents with a sick parent? What about, and then also you say, like, a lot of people during COVID, when we were talking about MilkMate to begin with, would say, like, oh, now women just aren't going to go back to work. I'm like, well, that's the root of the whole issue, because you think the only
yeah,
reason I work is because I need to work, right? Which is true, but I also want to work. But there are
yeah,
many, many women that need to work that are not given the maternity leave. They are not given the resources and the tools to help them. And it's a whole lifeline of tools, right? So it's like, it's the fertility tools, it's the maternity leave, it's the paternity leave, it's the childcare benefits, it's the mental benefits, because a lot of our clients have told us they suffered from postpartum depression, and MilkMate really helped them to
mm,
get over that. But there's the whole journey of being a working parent. Like, my working parent issues now are way different than they were when I had babies, because I have older children that may need, different tools and different things to help with. And so the idea that you can start to implement some of these smaller benefits that really start to add up over time makes such a difference. Because, like, what I say is that my pumping issue in the beginning was very early in my working mom journey, but then over
right,
time it's like, what else happened that got me to the point where I was too overwhelmed, and I didn't have enough tools to make it happen. And so what we say to employers all the time is that as you implement these tools, every step is important, right? Every tool you provide, it really truly does send a message. that these people are valued, and advancing and retaining working parents so that they can get to senior leadership, so that they can be mentors. They can send the message that this can happen. That's the only way that we're going to improve all of this. And so I think these benefits and tools are more important than ever. And we're just a small part of what those benefits look like. But it's important to implement. And by the way, the return on investment it's insane, right? Like it's seen right away, because like the cost of replacing women, the cost of hiring
Exactly.
new parents, there's so much, the facts are just there. It shows like long-term advancement and retention it works. And we always say, like, we quantify our results through time savings. We save a woman 15 minutes per session, which is up to 45 minutes to an hour per day, which is 23 work days per year. That's the actual quantifiable data. But what about the drip effect? Pun intended. It's like, literally, pun intended. It's like, what are we doing? Me coming back to work, that helps my team. That helps my family. That helps my HR leaders. That helps my managers. That there's like a whole domino effect of what we're doing, the downstream effect. The downstream effect of providing better benefits for your working parents the proof is there. The return on investment is already there, but it's just helping HR folks, giving them the bandwidth and the benefits and the budget to make it happen. Really.
Can I ask you more about that? Because I agree. Like I think that the research is clear. It
Yeah.
shows in the long run the benefits are clearly there. The cost savings in terms of like retention turnover related issues, the productivity related uptick versus the loss in productivity when you lose people
It's crazy.
and just yeah, all of that, right? It's pretty clear, but there's a little bit of a lag in those benefits. And the problem is, especially like in the West, in the US, we're so frickin' short-term oriented, that so often we're not willing to allow for some of those benefits to play out. So what has been your approach when you're working with clients to help them, recognize
Understand.
and see like it's okay to like invest now to something that may pay off 3 months, 6 months from now, a year from now, to help you achieve your goals towards, you know, bottom line goals, but
Diversity and
also gender
inclusion.
equity
Yeah.
goals and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. I mean, it's crazy. It's like we always say that the organizations that have signed on like very quickly are the organizations that are daring to be great.
Yeah.
You have to dare to be great. And like it's just it's so we know now right away whether an organization is going to sign on quickly because of the way that they value their employees. Very often there are extremely large organizations that like have trouble like adopting benefits like this because it just takes a long time, right?
Hmm.
And so it seems like it's almost overwhelming. So the organizations that are willing to like pilot something and see how it works and start small and take baby steps, and like we always say it's an evolution, not a revolution. And those organizations are the ones that are, retaining talent, advancing talent. They're best places to work. It's like, it's so easy. It's like they understand, because they've done it before with all different types of benefits, and they see that it works. The organizations that it's funny, like there's some really large organizations that you know who they are, that like they may say they're daring to be great, but they're really not. And the proof is there in the advancement and the retention of especially their working women. And so we just love like the truth is like everyone is obsessed by competitive analysis, right?
Mm.
And so as we sign big organizations in certain industries, like it does domino quickly for us with other organizations, which is sort of sad, but it's like, so it's really just getting organizations on board that are daring to be great, because then others will follow from there.
Mm.
But it's always interesting to me because it's like it is an easy decision to hire people that are the experts and let them be low lift. Like we try to be really low lift for our buyers. We're very low lift for HR folks and for the women that are using us too. But there has to be that built-in culture kind of like already.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, again, the bottom line here is let's have at least an ounce of like foresight into, future oriented strategy about what can help our organization be successful. We do
Totally.
that all the time with strategy.
Totally.
And sometimes we just don't do it with people strategy. We're very
Yeah.
quick. We're very quick to do that for other forms of strategy, other forms of capital. We're often slow to do it for people strategy, human capital.
I
Um,
also think that people just a lot of times don't ask questions the right way, right?
yeah.
Like everything's about everything in the what that we do is an education gap, right? Like
Hmm.
it's not understanding like breast pumping. Like you said, it's a sensitive subject. So really understanding what goes into a woman having to do this. And we always say having a room only solves part of the problem. Why? Let us educate you on this. And so the education gap in terms of people understanding the problem that a lot of women have is a big part of the issue. And so, you know, like I always say, like when I'm teaching my team, like I was the person that just like I just wanted to go on with my day. So like if someone asked me how I was doing post maternity leave, I would say I'm doing great. But
Hmm.
like it was like it just wasn't something, but they didn't ask me the question in the right way, right? It's like, what can we do more to provide better resources for you? Oh, you're offering? Okay, let me give you my insight into what that would look like. And so we really try to help employers ask the questions differently. And by the
Yeah.
way, that's why within our service, the women are talking directly to us because then they feel extreme comfort to do that, right? They don't feel uncomfortable talking about their breast shield size with their HR director. But they can certainly feel comfortable asking us these questions.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Well, this is only one piece of a
Yeah.
much bigger issue.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's long.
really
Yeah.
it's just so important for every organization to have these conversations and to start talking with your people about what their needs are, how you can address them. Like you said, for not necessarily early career, but for new moms, for working parents at different stages of their parenting, of their
Journey.
work
Yeah.
life, you're going to have different issues. You're going to have
100%.
different
It's all
different
different.
different constraints, different challenges, and so having these conversations about what types of flexibility, what types of policies, what types of supports you can provide is going to be really, really important.
Yeah.
Start there and then start to put in place supports that make sense. And in many cases, it's low cost or no cost. And
Yep.
in some cases, it does cost some, but it's well worth it because the cost savings down the line makes
It's
it worth every
crazy.
cent that you invest today.
It's so true. And I just feel like that's why trying things, I think, especially for big organizations, being open to trying things, like you really have nothing to lose. You're just like learning. It's just like gathering data about what works for your employees. And so, that's what my advice always is like pilot things, like see what works and why it works and have honest conversations. There's a lot of conversations right now around menopause and like what that means at that woman's like point in her like working journey. And before that's another sensitive topic that people don't want to talk about, right? And
Mhm.
I always say like science is science. Like I have to go to the bathroom during the workday. So you're going to provide a bathroom for me, right? Like, so let's provide the actual tools that are needed in order to get through the day, right? And so, and again, I worked in traditional office space, but like let's think about teachers and nurses and doctors and other folks, military bases, places like that, manufacturing plants that, women don't really have the tools or the maternity leave or the time to do
Yeah.
what they need to do.
Yeah. Well, Patrice, this has just been a great conversation. I note the time. I need to let you run. Before we
Okay.
wrap things up for today, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team, and then give us a final word on the topic for today.
Awesome. So milkmate.com, see us there. On Instagram, we are MilkMate Inc. On LinkedIn, we're just MilkMate, all one word. And we're always available to answer questions. And a lot of what we do up front is consultation, and that's all free. So again, nothing to lose with sort of understanding how this service is way different than any other service on the market. And look, my goal is to change the life of the working parent forever.
That's a good goal. Good goal. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Patrice and her team can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.